What's up everyone? I was invited by the Laowa team to make a short video about using a wide angle lens on a real estate shoot, so I thought I'd bring you guys with me. Let's get started. Yeah, so I got a lot of questions about how I use a manual lens when I'm doing real estate, so I thought I'd just bring you guys with me. So this is the gear that I'm going to use. So I'm using the A7S3 right now with the 12mm Laowa. And yeah, my gimbal is the RS3. And turn it on. I already have my setup balanced. So what's actually so great about using a wide lens like the 12mm Laowa is that everything seems so much larger than it is, right? And that's a really good thing because you want to make the room and the house appear larger than it is. So for example, I earlier did this move with the 24-70 at 24. And you know, 24mm is a typical wide lens that people use, but sometimes it's not wide enough, even for a big house like this. So this is the difference. Now this shot is shot in 24mm. And now this shot is with Laowa lens.
Give me that good reaction. Gonna make it right, little like an offer I can't refuse. I'm on the road, it's my time, taking control of my life. I want to run the red lights, I've got to run this show. You always take me so high, you always make the highlights. I love the way we vibe, you're like a centerfold.
So the settings that I used on the gimbal is medium, and it's in PF mode, which stands for pan follow. The gimbal will then not pan up and down, as you can see, which gives the vertical a straight line. Because if you look on the side here, say this wall, it's pretty straight. If I had it in pan follow mode, you see how it's not aligning with my frame? So it's not straight vertical up, which is a typical mistake most people do, that they point the camera, they have it in the wrong mode, and then they walk, and then it's much easier to mistake going too much up and down, which create this weird thing. So a question that I also get a lot is that, how do I focus with a manual lens? Because this lens, every Laowa lens is manual, right? So how do you focus? So this infinity means that everything should be in focus. You put it all the way to infinity and then a little bit back. That usually helps me get things in focus. So you see, the higher up I go in the aperture, the more will be in focus. Both the glasses and the blinds have this red thing around them, which means they're in focus. So if you struggle with focusing, then I suggest that you go up in aperture or change this focus ring. So that's actually how easy it is to manual focus, because you don't have to change the focus during your gimbal move. You just set it to, I would say, almost infinity. If you want more of the room to be in focus, then go up in aperture. But even, as I said before, even at 2.8, I haven't really had a super problem with having things in focus. Now, let's do a gimbal move, shall we? Okay, so my settings, I film in 50p, shutter 100, ISO is currently at 3000, and white balance about 5000. Change the mode on the gimbal to pan follow. Double tap behind to reset, and then make sure everything is okay. Hit record.
All I want is satisfaction. Make a move, baby, you got nothing to lose.
So what's actually so great about the Laowa lens is that these lenses are zero distortion lenses, which means that, you know, when I talked about the walls of the lines being really straight, That has to do with the lens being zero distortion and not looking like a fish lens, like something like this. So it's nice to know that the walls are very straight, parallel to the side of your frames. So that's something that bothered me with other lenses, is that they had some weird distortion. Even if it was just a little, it would bother me enough to invest in something like the 9mm Laowa. And it was the best investment that I did back in 2020. So, yeah. So when you use a super wide lens like the Laowa, every movement seems more emphasized because it's so wide that it emphasizes your movement much more when you move through the space. You can even, on top of that, do tricks to emphasize the movement even more, like using the door frames. It's really great to move past the door frames when doing real estate shots, which I do very often. So I'll show you, right? So instead of starting here and then you start to move, I would go out here. You see how I got the door frames here now? And it's just nice when these are passing by, like this. Boom. It just emphasizes the movement much more. So, because it is a zero distortion lens, these door frames are not bent, which I really like about the Laowa lens. So instead of starting here and then walking, start a little more behind, before the door frames, and then walk. Boom. Yeah, simple. So this trick you can do on everywhere in the house where it is door frames, like the door into the bedroom, to the bathroom. Yeah, easy. So using the door frames to emphasize movement. Okay, so let's show another gimbal move that I like to do. I call it the reveal shot, meaning I can back up and then reveal things into the frame, right? Makes it more interesting because the viewer doesn't know what's there unless you're pushing forward. You see, when I push forward like this, they already know what's in frame. I mean, the shot is pretty and it can work, but sometimes I also like to do like this. Yeah, you can even back out like this, revealing the shot. But you don't have to kind of walk backwards like I do. You can always walk forward and then reverse the clip in post. That way you're not taking the risk of bumping into something and breaking, let's say, this glass. So another gimbal move that I like to do a lot is lamp to help me with the shot. Then I typically do something like this. You make sure everything is correct in the settings and the exposure is right. And then you start really close to the lamp. And as you can see now, there is an issue with my own shadow being on the lamp. So all you need to do is kind of readjust a little bit and then walk back like this. Yeah, you can also do this walking forward as I just said, so like this. And then you can get a shot looking like this. What's also so nice about having a wide lens like the Laowa is that, again, emphasizing movement. So I like to get close to subjects, close to walls, painting on the walls. Just because it gets more interesting that way. Let me give an example of a shot. So like this, I'll use this picture, get really close to it. So you see how fast this seems compared to this. So sometimes I can tend to get close to the wall just to emphasize movement. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. So what's so super interesting about filming real estate is that you're the only factor of movement, right? Because everything stands still. So very little mistakes are often because of you as an operator. Interesting. Here's another reveal shot. Starting close, and then hold down the trigger behind when you've found your frame, because I'm going to do a straight move and I don't want the camera to go to the side. Pan follow so the gimbal doesn't tilt up and down accidentally. Double tap behind to reset. Find your framing. Find your first frame and then find your last frame. Okay, I don't like the last frame as much. A little bit more here. Okay. I think I found it. So a reveal shot again, like this, backing out, revealing the kitchen. And I'm really picky about framing because just like this framing is not good enough for me. So it just has to be just right for me to be happy. This is too much to the left. Kind of a lot of empty space here, but if I go around like this, just as this TV comes in, it helps the framing. And yeah, it kind of looks more balanced. Yeah, and then you need to figure out if you want the sun in the shot, or you can even go up like this, so the lamp is covering the sun. Again, I'm just having the settings to almost infinity focus as I showed you, and now it's at f4. Like this. Straight with elevation. Boom. Right. Okay, so let's talk about lens flare also, because I actually do like the lens flare on this lens. I mean, I haven't compared it to a lot of lenses, but there's just something about the sun creating that lens flare that just makes it so beautiful. So to get the lens flare, you want to kind of aim your camera somewhere towards the sun. Sometimes too much sun flare is not good, but sometimes just a little is enough. It's a really nice sun flare, as you can see. So it could work out with the 24mm because this house is so huge anyway, so it doesn't look that narrow. But in most cases, a super wide lens like the 12mm or 15mm Laowa is a better option to use. Yes, but that's it guys. I hope you learned something and enjoyed my video. And thank you Laowa for making this collaboration with me. Yeah, I see you guys later. Bye!